Okay. Hey, Harry, are you in this call? Harry? Hello? Hey, Harry, can you hear me? I can't hear you, Harry. Can you say something, Harry?
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, it sounds great. So how it's gonna work is I'm gonna go over the agenda, the structure of the event, guidelines and rules, and then we're gonna go into keynote speakers. Is that okay with you?
Sounds great. Yeah.
Sounds great. So until then, I'm gonna be sharing screen. So you're probably gonna have to mute. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Well done. All right.
Thanks. Let's see. Actually, wait 1 second. Let me just double check something. Okay. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. Okay, can everyone quiet down? Okay, so let's begin opening ceremony for YHack 2022. Yeah, a round of applause. All right, so here's the agenda for the opening ceremony. First, we're going to go over the structure of the event. So you have to understand how the event is going to work. Then we're going to go over some guidelines and rules, just so you know, kind of like the rules you're going to have to abide by. Then we're going to go into team formation, which is also, I think, on the guidelines and rules. We're going to go into keynote speeches, the tracks, some of the prizes that we're offering, swag, and then going over how mentors are going to work, how judges are going to work, submissions, and then our sponsors and partners. And then at the end, you can ask us if you have any questions. All right, so here's how the structure of the event is going to work. It's going to be held in Sci City for the entirety of the hackathon. So for the entirety of the 36 hours up until 10 p.m. until 10 a.m. on Sunday. It's going to be a hybrid hackathon. So in addition to all of you guys here at Yale, there's going to be a ton of other students who are going to be participating around the world. There's going to be a calendar, and this was sent out in the email blast to everyone here. So what the calendar is going to do, you really want to make sure that's on your calendar, is that it's going to have all the events that are happening during the hackathon. So over here, you can see that there's going to be a team formation event right after this hackathon is over. And then if you don't have a team right now, that's totally fine, because this is going to be a chance for you to find a team. Hacking is going to begin at 10 p.m. So this is kind of where you want to get situated. You want to make sure you have a table and get your laptop set up. And then at 11 p.m., we're going to have a social event called Social Idea Validation. So if you kind of have an idea that's floating around your head and you're not really sure if it's a great idea right now, this is totally fine, because this is going to be a chance for you to get to talk to other teams to then kind of bounce ideas back and forth to see if your idea is a good one. And then starting at 10 a.m., we're going to have an EarthHacks workshop about ethical hacking, a potential sponsor workshop. Then we're going to have brunch at 12 to 1. And then we're going to have karaoke from MLH, a Y Combinator panel with Tommy. And then we're going to have Heidi, the therapy dog, come by. So if you guys are feeling stressed out, you guys can come and play with the therapy dog. We're going to have dinner from Yorkside Pizza at 6 p.m. And then we're going to have the Y Combinator interview challenge if you choose to participate in this at 7 p.m. And then we're also going to have a typeracer competition at 9 p.m. So if you guys are fast typers, we're going to be distributing Amazon gift cards for the winner of that. The hackathon will end at 10 a.m. on Sunday. So make sure that you have finalized your submission on DevPost. After that, you're going to have to wait for the schedule at which you will be judged. So that's just going to be an hour wait. You're going to have brunch from 11 to 12. And then from 12 to 3, that's going to be mandatory. That's where we're going to have live judging on Discord, where a panel of judges will be able to judge you, and they're all industry experts. And they're just going to be judging you, how it's going to work. I'll discuss the format for that later. And then we're going to have closing ceremony from 3 to 4 p.m., where we're going to announce all the prizes, and we're just going to give you any remaining things that you have to know how to do. Yeah, so back to the slideshow. So how the structure of the event is going to work is that for questions, you can ask organizers on Discord using that channel. So make sure you're on the Discord. If you haven't already joined that, it's been sent out in the emails to you. Snacks and drinks are always going to be at the organizers table. So we're just going to be giving it to you. So just to prevent people from taking too much at one time. So make sure that if you're ever thirsty, if you're ever hungry, go to the organizers table, which is going to be at the entrance the moment you enter SciCity. So for the format. So meals, the brunch is provided on Saturday and Sunday from Almost Bagels. We also have coffee. Dinner is going to be provided on Saturday from Yorkside. Events will be on the schedule, and they will be displayed on monitors and TVs throughout the event. You'll also get help from the organizing team. They're all wearing blue YHack jackets, so you can recognize us from this. Rooms, these are reserved for events, so do not take these tables. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to the tables that are set out already on the first floor and on the second floor. But for all the contents rooms, do not go into those because those are reserved for events. We recommend don't really come and go from the event unless necessary, just because we kind of want to make sure that we're keeping a good track of who's coming in and if they're actually a part of the event. Hacking starts at 10 p.m. and ends at 10 a.m. These are really strict deadlines, so make sure that you try not to go over this. This is going to be a 36-hour window. All right. Guidelines and rules, please respect the SciCity venue, clean up after yourself, make sure that you're not damaging any of the equipment, because kind of a requirement of us using this venue is that we are respectful of the venue. Be respectful to other participants, sponsors, and speakers, and also the organizing team. We just want to make sure that everyone is just respectful of everyone at all times. Mask is optional as per Yale's COVID policy. But you have to have your mask on if you're not vaccinated. Most of the people here are vaccinated because we're Yale students. So just make sure that if you're not vaccinated, then you have to wear your mask. We encourage hackers to not come and go unless necessary. I already mentioned that. And you also have to mark the members of your team. So we have already released the team formation document. We have about currently about 70 teams right now. So if you haven't already marked it on this Google Sheet, make sure you do. It's been sent out on the emails as well. And yes. And now we're going to be going into the keynote speeches. So first off, we have Harry Yu from Wanderlog, who was a previous Yale alumni, and he can talk more about the company that he's founded, Wanderlog. Yeah. Let's see.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, it's great to be talking back at YHack. I think it's been.
Wait 1 second, Harry. I'm gonna see if the speaker's working.
Okay, take your time. Tell me when you're ready.
Can you try saying something?
Hi, this is Harry.
Can you guys hear that? Okay.
Great, cool. All right. Well, hey everyone, it's been a while since I've been at a hackathon, but I think it's really a great way to get started. And it's very hard to really find the time to work on things, especially in university with all the extracurriculars. So yeah, thanks everyone for taking the time to really make time for yourself to come to a hackathon. So just to introduce myself, I'm Harry, a Saybrook 2014 computer science major. And I honestly had a pretty normal time at Yale. Like some of you, I didn't like studying in libraries, but I did like working and hanging out in dining halls. And I joined way too many extracurriculars and had to drop half of them my junior year. So all in all, pretty normal. But one thing I am proud of is I also built with my brother, Peter, Morse 2014, a site called Course Table. And I know I can't see you guys, but if you guys have used it, can you just raise your hand or ping on chat if you're on chat?
Let's see, I'll try turning you. Can you see them?
That's a good number. Cool. Yeah. Well, I really loved building Course Table back in the day, and I loved using it to find the best classes. And really, I loved most of all just when others like you guys tried it and used it. And so, but nowadays the Yaleys who take care of it really do a better job than I did. But one thing I never mentioned is that I almost didn't build Course Table. That was one decision I could have made given everything that was pulling me in all directions on campus. And here's one other one. So in early 2019, I founded with my twin brother, Peter, a startup called Wanderlog. And Wanderlog is an app where you can write down your travel plans and discover places to visit. And it turns out 2019 was not the best year to start a travel company. But I didn't really know that at the time. So to be fair, the company's done pretty well since 2021, but I also couldn't have known that. So I could say I decided to build Wanderlog and Course Table. I could devote this talk to all of the decisions I'd made and why I'd made them. But when I think about it, I don't think I actually paused and thought about most of the important decisions that I'd made and why I'd made them. So even when I did stop and consider the decisions, I think my ways of thinking were already set long before that point. So in fact, if you gave someone an 8-year summary of my life and then asked them what I might have done next, they probably would have been able to predict a lot of it. And I think my life is dictated by habits I built far before the actual decisions. So throughout this talk, I'll look at things that seem to me like decisions. I'll look at what habits have decided them, and rather than any particular decision that I had. So regardless of all this, attending YHack this year is probably a good decision for you, and here's why. So at Yale, there's a lot of urgent things that demand your time. Your problem set is due next week. You have to apply for jobs before the deadline. Your singing group has weekly practices and tech week in a week. Your club has elections in 2 weeks. And all of these things not only demand your time, but there are people around you who hold us accountable to those responsibilities. If I don't do these things, someone will hold me accountable. And for most of you attending, YHack wasn't something that you had to do. If you don't get something done, no one will really bat an eye. But the truth is, most of the best things I've done for myself are things that no one asked or required me to do. Peter and I, we built Course Table not because we decided to, but because we kind of had a habit of just building things on the side. We built things because we found them useful and thought others would find them useful too. So I think overall, doing important things that have no deadline is a great habit. And YHack may be the start, the middle, or just another stop on your long tradition to that, but I encourage you to really keep doing it. Because remember that work will always expand to fill time, either through procrastination or more rarely, actual high quality work. So even if you have 3 papers due, but also something you want to build, try to devote at least some time to that idea instead of just stressing about what else is on your plate. So thinking about habits, your first job out of university will be the source of a lot of your habits. I worked at Google as a PM after Yale, and in most ways, it was a great place to form new habits. because at most people's first company, you just work and you soak up the knowledge and wisdom, and that's something that will never happen again. So I was grateful there was a strong culture of good practices, competence, and reasonably limited office politics. But I was also at a place where I could see people working hard on cool problems. I could see people who are capable and selfless and people who are, quite frankly, like kind of assholes. But for the most part, Google was a place where competence is valued. And this is important because if you get in the habit of being competent, that'll make hard things seem doable and easy things seem really effortless. So after a while of doing things and not completely failing, I actually believed that I was competent too. And it's very freeing to be able to think, hey, I don't know how to hire engineers, but I can figure it out and probably do an okay job at it, even if that's false. Or rather, especially if that's false, because at least that lets you try it the first time. One habit I think Yale builds, because there are so many people and so many networks of people, is that you really get in the habit of choosing who to hang out with. And it's not like super active, but it turns out that habit is more important than pretty much any other habit in my working life as well. So that habit helped me when choosing a team to join after my first year as a product manager. So some of my friends chose to work at Waymo, Google's self-driving car project, because it was cool and impressive. And some of them chose to work on emerging markets, next billion users, because it felt impactful and was growing quickly. I chose a team because I thought my manager and engineering team on the Google voice actions team were really good at their jobs and just really nice people. And it turns out some of the cool teams were slow and dysfunctional. And working on a cool thing doesn't feel so cool when your team can't make decisions quickly and you can't get engineers to work on your project and your manager is never around. So I'm gonna be honest, I think there's one other reason to work at Google or really any more established company at this point, straight out of college, which for a lot of you guys may not be the first instinct because you guys do have that kind of entrepreneurial streak in you. And that one other thing is really money. And I have a habit, like mostly picked up from my parents, of not needing to spend a lot of money. I learned to treat spending money almost like a game, like I win when I spend less to get more value. But now I mentioned this, but I don't think it's actually a requirement. Like ask any alum who's not a software engineer, but like a Broadway actor or a public defender, and they'll know that it is actually a superpower. So working at a company that paid well supercharged that. So I went from having enough money to having more than enough money. And that really freed me up to thinking beyond what career I wanted to have, but to thinking about what I wanted to do with my time. There's a reason that, I guess for the engineers among you, that game developers have worse schedules and make less than COBOL engineers working on 1970s mainframes, and a reason why actors have a tough time finding work than marketing managers. And it's because the economy works. Even today, though I'm not literally paying money to work on a startup in a naturally interesting field like travel, I realized that I am paying in time or hardship. So for example, it's much easier to fundraise and start making a profit, especially start making a profit, because that's what good businesses do. When starting a business-to-business startup that sells software as a service, than doing a consumer tech startup in travel, where most consumers are not used to paying for anything nowadays. And so there's really three common solutions to this problem of money. First, you get a weird taste. Like if you love working on old banking software on 1970s mainframes, then you're set. To be clear, this is not a joke. A lot of people, including you, can probably get passionate about almost anything if you're enough of a nerd about it. So that's always an option. Second, you could have enough money, and that's where working at Google helped. And finally, third, you could spend less money, and that's where my old habits helped. And I think having enough money made it easier to do a startup in a field where making money was a little harder to get started. it's possible to both make a lot of money and do something rewarding, but it's just often a rarer opportunity. And there's no right answer in how to make the trade-off between just money, status, like what you like working on, all of that. But that's where I got for myself, at least. So we've gone over a lot. First, it's good to get in the habit of doing things no one asks you to do. It's good to seek out good people rather than doing flashy things. And I think personally, it's good to enjoy being competent and productive and not to get in the habit of spending too much money. But I also wanted to talk about one last habit before I finish. So how many of you are computer science majors actually in the room? Just checking. Wow, that's actually a fair bit more than when I was at Yale, but that's great. Yale's computer science, Bachelor of Science, only required 12 credits, and that freed me up to do things like make dumplings or take political science classes. And in my time working on Wanderlog, I think I've thought about my and Wanderlog's place in the world. Is Wanderlog good for the world? So back when I was building course table, it did seem so simple. Course table was good for students, and all the people who didn't like it, well, they're haters and we don't talk about them. So nowadays, I still believe course table is good for students, but I do now appreciate the pushback I got back in the day a little more, in that, for one, it makes the best classes even more crowded. It can also reward professors who make courses too easy, as the lowest workload classes tend to often avoid having the worst ratings. So similarly, I thought social media was a bad thing until I started buying ads to promote Wanderlog. And it turns out well-built ad networks like Facebook are largely the reasons companies like Duolingo and Strava could grow as fast as they did. They're a great way to legitimately help useful products get a wider audience without having Google's funding and marketing department. So is it a net positive? I don't really have an answer for you, but I don't really know even now. But yesterday I was looking at reviews for Wanderlog to see if there was anything we could do better. And I stumbled upon one message from a dad who wrote, and let me just pull this up. I'm planning a post-fully vaccinated trip for with my daughter, and I've been stressed with planning and trying to organize a trip to see, do, eat, and stumbled on this amazing site and app. It's made it feel so much easier. And I think reading messages like that makes it feel a lot easier for me to decide what our impact is too. Because I feel like as long as I'm really helping the right people do the right things, I think I'm doing at least okay. So best of luck on everything. I'm sure you all will build something great, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of this hackathon. And yeah, thanks everyone for thanks to Alex and the organizers, and Andy and the organizers as well.
All right, thanks so much, Harry. Okay.
Oh, just a heads up, Andy, I don't think I can hear you right now, so yeah.
Okay, my bad. Let's see.
Great.
Yeah, this microphone will be a lot of help.
Cool. All right, hey guys, super excited to be here. Yeah, I graduated Yale 2017, so it's really cool to be back. I majored in philosophy actually, but now I picked up software engineering. I'm here on behalf of Y Combinator. So for those of you who don't know, Y Combinator is a startup accelerator. So we invest in like hundreds of companies every year at our very, very early stage. So a lot of times it's just like two people who with basically just an idea. They haven't even quit their jobs. So it's really early stage. Some of our big hits have been Coinbase, Airbnb, DoorDash, and Stripe. Yeah, and most of those, they were basically just ideas at the time when we funded them. Cool, so I'm on the admissions team at Y Combinator, so I'm involved in helping decide who gets into Y Combinator, like who we give the money to. And so I read applications, I do interviews, I also code, so I'm doing the tools to make that happen. And I also do analysis on helping us figure out basically who the good people to fund are. Like, what do the good teams look like? Who should we fund? It's like a very, very hard and interesting question. Cool. So one thing I was interested in, knowing I was coming to this hackathon, is basically for people who want to start a startup who look like you guys at this hackathon, like, what are your chances of success? So I'm going to start with something that most people already know, which is basically the group that you guys are, like younger, technical, good schools. This has been like a classic team that has done very well at startups. So again, the ones I mentioned, like DoorDash fits that, was like a young technical team from good schools, same with Airbnb, same with Stripe. So like, it's very well known that this archetype is pretty good at startups. Okay. The thing that people don't know as much is, like, non-comparatively, how likely are they to succeed? So basically my question is, if you guys were to start a company, how likely are you to succeed? So I looked at the Y Combinator data of all the startups we funded. I looked at teams that fit this mold, and I asked how many of them got to $1 billion in valuation. So that's like a big benchmark in the startup world. If you reach $1 billion in valuation, you get to be called a unicorn because it's super rare, super special, and like you really made it at that point. It's like a pretty big deal. It's like very, very rare. It's getting less and less rare as startups are getting better, but it's still a huge deal. Okay, and so basically this is the main point of the keynote, like the keynote of the keynote. The startups who did YC, those companies, the ones that look like ones that you would start if you were to found a company, the chance they become a unicorn is 5 to 10%. Okay, it's like, yeah, this guy over here is like, whoa, I saw your mouth open. We also have the same shirt, so nice. Cool, so 5 to 10%. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't know how I can make it as clear that that's like so shocking. Like when I looked up that stat, I was like, should I just quit my job and like probably go start a unicorn? Like 10% is pretty good odds. Like expected value, $100 million of value created. Like there's basically nothing I can think of that you can do, which is like at that level of value creation for the world, like super high impact. It's just wild. Like most winning lottery tickets are nowhere near that amount of money. Like if you had a winning lottery ticket, like scratch that or decide to go do YC. It's just like, that's kind of crazy. Yeah. Another thing I want to say about that stage is even if you don't get to $1 billion of valuation, like 10% will get to $1 billion in valuation, the majority will get to Series A. And by Series A, you're past the early stage when you're like, in the very early stage, no one cares about what you're doing. It's hard, like no one's using your thing, you're just building. And yeah, it's just really hard to get people to care. By Series A, like you have users using your product. Some of them will love your product. You'll have investors who really believe in you. You'll have hired employees who also believe in you. And by Series A, you're like really running a company by Series A, right? It's not just like you coding, feeling sad for yourself, right? Like it's a big deal. So yeah, just to put it in perspective, like the main message is if you guys want to start a company, you are by far the most likely to succeed. And like the chances are pretty good. When I was in your shoes, when I was at Yale, I thought startups were cool, but the message was that they're really, really hard. And you should only do a startup if, you know, you want to do it in and of itself. You're like in it for the journey. Like you should expect to fail. And it's true that it's really, really hard to do a startup. It's going to be super stressful. It's really hard on you emotionally. It's really hard on you physically. Like you're not going to get enough sleep. It's not good for your brain to be stressed all the time. And that's how it's going to be for like 7 years, at least, of your life if things go well. That's going well. Yeah, so it's really hard in that regard, but it is not hard in the sense that you are unlikely to succeed. You're pretty likely to succeed. It's pretty crazy. Okay, cool. So as you do this hackathon, I hope you keep that in the back of your minds. I hope you realize the things you build, like now and in the future, those are the most likely things to like change the world in a real way. So I think that's super cool. I'm gonna stop there. On that keynote part, I'm gonna plug the Y Combinator events we have going on really quick.
It's gonna come later. Do you want to plug it then?
No, I'm in my speech mode.
Okay.
I'm gonna forget it by then. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, just super quick. We have like a competition. So it's adding a startup aspect to the hackathon where you're basically gonna come up with an idea. Feel free to use your hackathon, what you're building, but feel free to just do whatever you're excited about. You're basically going to pitch us your idea. You're going to submit an application, and we're going to invite a few of you to do an interview. It's going to give you a taste of what it's like actually like to try to raise funding for your idea and company. So I think that's fun. We're also going to be doing a speaker event tomorrow. That's we brought a few Yale alum who did YC, and their startups are going really, really well now. So I mean, they're like only 2 to 4 years older than you guys. So it's going to be super relevant to you if you're into startups. They're all Yale alum who are doing really, really great.
You want to drop some of their names?
Yeah, okay. So yeah, maybe you know some of them. So there's Kevin Tan from Snack Pass. There's Paul Gross, Remora. There's Derek Lowe from Medallion. And then I feel bad because I'm gonna forget the fourth one. But yeah, there's a fourth person. They're also doing really well. And then the last thing is we're gonna have like a physical booth in the city center, so you can come by and say hi if you have questions about startups or want to talk to us about other stuff like careers in tech. It's gonna be me and two of my coworkers. We're all engineers, so if you just want to talk to us about working in tech, we're there for that too. And yeah, I think that's all. I'm super excited to meet some of you throughout the hackathon, through our booth, and through the competition, all that stuff. So yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me just get back to the Zoom. I think speaker. Windows 10. Let's see. Oops. Slideshow. You need to just make sure that the speak view. So this is not. Wait, is there a way that this can show pin? Weird. Wait, does anyone know why the Zoom isn't normally displaying? I feel when you go into the slideshow. Oh yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, who said that? Who said that? Yeah. All right, go. Round of applause. Yeah. Okay, got it. All right. Yeah. So here are the tracks. This is actually blocking it. So the track descriptions are on the website. I can read those out right now. So let's go for fintech. So in the fintech track, hackers will develop projects that work to integrate finance with technology. Financial technology, or fintech, uses technology to improve activities in finance. Some examples of fintech involve blockchain, non-fungible tokens or NFTs, and machine learning. Hackers should focus on pinpointing novel ways that financial technology can be further developed for more efficiency and ease of use. So that's the first track. And these are 4 tracks. You have to choose to compete in one of them. So even if, so later on for sponsor challenges, you can choose multiple of those, but for this, you only can choose one. For social good, in the social good track, hackers will be asked to better understand the implications behind technology and how it can be utilized as a force for good in society. To do this, hackers must develop projects that will solve problems in our society and benefit a large number of people. Some examples of the biggest societal issues are things like poverty, war, education, hunger, and health. For university, in the university track, hackers will set out to create projects that will have a positive and significant impact on universities. This means solving problems that affect students, professors, or administration. The solution should work to improve different facets of social and academic life on campus. For travel, in the travel track, hackers will develop projects that improve the traveling experience of people. This should work on solving problems that currently hinder travel, hamper tourism, or could help individuals save money while they're on trips. So these are all the different tracks. Here are how prizes work for YHack. So there will be a grand prize worth $3,000, and it'll be split between your team members. So if you have 2 team members, it'll be $1,500 each. If you have 4, it'll be like $750. So there'll be a final judging panel of 5 people. The top 2 from each track will be selected to be judged for the grand prize. And then ultimately the one given the highest score by the judges will be the winner. The audience favorite will be voted on through dev posts. So just what all the different participants really like, they can give an upvote, and then the one with the most upvotes will win the audience favorite award.
For each track, there will be 500 to split for the first place prize. And then for the second place, there will be 250 to split between the members.
Yes. For swag, so shirts were already distributed when you checked in. For virtual participants, this will be, all of the swag will be mailed to you as long as you submit a project. And also as long as you live in the US. These things will be distributed at Size City, stickers, stress ball, and shot glasses. What will be delayed, so you can pick it up at a later time here at Yale, is a tote bag and phone wallets, just because there is a delay in shipping. For mentors, so there are a lot of different mentors that have agreed to help out at YHack. So make sure to check this out. And so you can see here that we have a lot of different mentors from Google, from Meta, from Asana, also from Datadog, Taro Health. All of these people agreed to be mentors for YHack 2022. So during their assigned shifts, all you're going to have to do is go on to Ask Mentors on Discord, and then you can receive technical help on your project from them. So if you are running into any bugs, are not really sure how to use different technologies, you want to go to these mentors. Let's see. All right. Yes. For submissions, these have to be submitted on DevPost. Remember, 10 a.m. on Sunday. It will be a 3-minute video submission, a GitHub link, and you also can submit it for different sponsor challenges. Make sure you have a description of your project and also like why it's useful, what your different team members worked on, kind of like basic DevPost submissions. Yes. For judging, there will be 4 judges per track. There will be 5 judges for the final judging. The top 2 teams from each track will be selected. For the judging criteria, you're going to be judged on technical aspects. How well is your project designed technically? Like, is it like using like a very well-designed application? Also, how well does it create an impact? So when you're thinking about the impact, you're going to want to be thinking along the lines of your track. So your track will have different criteria. And so you want to make sure that your project meets that criteria as best as possible, is making an impact in the lives of as many people as possible. And a lot of people would want to actually use this application. Also, you're going to just be judged on your presentation. How well do you format your application? And also how well is it like presented? Like, do you really clearly like explain your solution and also your problem? For the format, it's going to be pretty simple. It's going to be a 3 minutes for the presentation. It's going to be pretty much the same as your video submission, but it's going to be live and done in front of Discord judges. And then you're going to have 2 minutes for questions. It says presentations, but it's actually for questions from the judges. So make sure that you're prepared to answer questions about like, is it actually technically feasible? Like, who's like the prime consumer for this? Things like that. So huge thanks to our sponsors who made this event possible. Just made it possible for us to buy all the swag, get all of, like the different food and snacks for you guys, get all the everything was made possible through our sponsors and our partners. So a huge thanks to Jane Street, Meta, Lightbox, the Yale School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, and Size City. A huge thanks to our partners, Y Combinator, EarthHack, Google Cloud, and Bloomberg. Yeah, so we can jump into sponsor challenges now. And some of our sponsors came here in person today. So you can ask them about this afterwards if you have any questions. Richard, did you edit the slides after this? Okay, got it. So you can talk more about it there. For Google Cloud, Ethan, do you want to talk about that?
I can talk about it with the knowledge part.
Okay, sounds good. EarthHacks, Sanjana, do you want to come down here and talk about EarthHacks? There's a camera here, so yeah, stuff for the virtual participants.
Hi everyone, good to see you. Very excited to be here in person. It's super cool that we're going back to having hackathons in person and are able to stay, share snacks and things like that, which is something that we've been sorely missing. So I'm Sanjana, I'm from EarthHacks, which is an environmental hackathon organization. And kind of the idea behind this is that climate change and environmental degradation is the biggest problem of our time, perhaps the biggest problem humans have ever faced as a species. And literally nothing in the world is going to matter if we don't have a livable planet for it to matter on, if we don't have clean air to breathe, and if we don't have food to eat because our soil's been degraded beyond all comprehension. So people at hackathons are smart, right? People at hackathons, smart. People at hackathons are driven. People at hackathons are motivated, right? So why aren't you guys? working again on these big grand challenges. So EarthHacks is kind of like a challenge to prompt you guys to apply like the skills that you've been working really, really hard to develop to make a dent in these global grand challenges, both for the sake of our lifetimes and for the sake of everyone who comes after us. So our challenge is essentially the best environmental hack. We just want you to incorporate in some way, shape, or form some aspect of mitigating climate change and environmental degradation into your project. So if you're super passionate about stopping ocean pollution, you can work on that. If you're super passionate about food systems, you can work on that. If you're super passionate about environmental education, you can work on that. So if you have any questions, if you want to talk about the best environmental justice policies and the super cool stuff that's happening in kelp farming and whatnot, come talk to me. Also, EarthHacks is hiring part-time. So if you're looking for a side gig, come talk to me. Super excited to be here. Thanks to the YHack team.
So yeah, Tommy already mentioned the Y Combinator pitch. Do you want to talk a little bit more about like the prize?
Yeah, should I just stand up?
Yeah, you can probably just stand up. Yeah. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah, cool. So, yeah, it's basically a mini version of what applying to YC would actually be like. So there's an application that you'll submit. We'll invite some people to an interview, and then you'll pitch live to us. For you guys in person, it'd be great if you could do it in person, but we'll also obviously support over Zoom. And yeah, some of the prizes are for the Yale people here. We'll invite the top couple Yale teams to dinner with us on Sunday to hang out. We'll go to like a nice place around here. I think we have Harvest or whatever. I'm not sure, but it's a nice place. And for everyone, including the Yale teams, the prize will be an actual interview with YC, kind of whenever you want it. We'll you just can stay in touch and work it out. And if whenever you want to do an interview with us, I'll just let you skip the application and you can interview, as well as like a mentorship office hours with some of our partners, like the group partners who mentor the startups who get into the program. So those are the people, and those are the office hours that like, that's like one of the big reasons people do Y Combinator in the first place. So you can get like a mentorship call with them. Cool.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so let's go into the next thing. Let's go into MLH. Ethan, want to hold here?
Hey, everybody. My name is Ethan. I'm a coach at Major League Hacking, and I'll be here this weekend making sure everything runs smoothly and providing some resources for all the hackers. A little bit about me: I'm a junior at the University of Maryland in College Park. Some interests I have are cooking, college basketball, and supply chain technology. I'll be hanging out over at the MLH tent in the other building. So if you ever want to chat it up this weekend, please come over, because I'll be doing nothing unless you come to talk to me. So if anything you need this weekend, all the stuff I'm about to cover can be found at hack.mlh.io. So if you forget any of it, just you can head there. You can also connect with other hackers, not only at YHack, but also at all tons of different kinds of events, tons of hackathons over at discord.mlh.io. But first, what is Major League Hacking? Major League Hacking is the global hacker community. We have over 135,000 hackers just like you, going to 200 plus events throughout the year, tons of different cities, and a lot going on. So, and by attending these different kinds of events, you're winning community points. So for example, all of you Yale students, you'll be winning points for Yale and YHack's member event to gain points throughout the season long. So this weekend, we'll have a bunch of fun things going on. We got slideshow karaoke, which will be in the other building at 1 p.m. We also got 2022 season mascot tees. We have enough for all of you. They're right next to the MLH table, so be sure to grab those. We also have all the resources you might need this weekend. So we'll have, you can win a GitHub Octocat swag bundle by signing up for GitHub Global Campus and having the most creative use of GitHub. We'll have the best use of the Twilio API prize, and you can get a $50 free trial if you win without a credit card being needed. We'll have freedomain.com domain names. You can get all of that at hackp.ac/domain. And the code this weekend is keeponhacking22. We'll also have $100 worth of Deso coin, the official Web3 sponsor. So be sure to check that out. We also have free Google Cloud credits, up to $25 worth of credits at a time. be sure to check your pre-event email, which you should have gotten from MLH to get those access to those credits. We'll also have, you can add authentication for your hack, and then you can submit to the best use of auth and you can win one of those auth Rubik's Cubes as well as a tumbler and sticker. And again, if all of the prizes, at least all the MLH prizes will be listed at YHack-2022.devpost.com, which is the submission platform. And again, if you have any questions, you can stop by at the MLH bench. And we also have I demoed stickers this weekend. Right now it just says I demoed, but it'll have the YHacks logo on it. So they're custom to the event. So be sure to demo to get your swag. And also big thanks to the MLH Career Lab. If you're looking for any kind of internship or any kind of job, you can head over to hackp.ac/careers and get some more information there. We also, this is some more companies that we have with the MLH Career Lab. We also have the MLH Fellowship, which is a 12-week summer internship alternative. And summer program begins May 31st. So be sure to apply soon if you're interested in that. And it's finishing up this weekend, but if you have time, be sure to check out Global Hack Week, which is a week-long event that MLH is hosting. We have tons of different workshops and mini events going on. And on a more serious note, MLH hackathons are a safe space for everyone. All organizers, participants, everybody here has agreed to the code of conduct. If you are uncomfortable at any time or you are unsure about anything, feel free to come up to me or you can email or call the numbers on the screen. But with that, thanks to all of our partners, and that's all I got for you. Enjoy YHack, everybody. Thank you.
Graveyard or random slides. Okay, got it. Sounds good. Yeah. Okay. All right, Richard.
I don't know if the QR code will work from that distance or from the screen, but that's to our GitHub repo for this weekend. We put up a bunch of data that has been pulled from the predecessor of the yellow pages and white pages, which is the predecessor to your iPhone. And these directories list occupants and addresses by street in thousands and thousands of cities in the US, and they go back to the 1800s. This isn't an image processing challenge. It's really a data connectivity challenge. We think a property graph might solve this. But if you have, you can imagine Martin Luther King, JFK, FDR, those were all known as something else in the 1920s, the 1930s. So as I go backward in time and house numbers change, street names and change, how can I connect those streets going backwards in time? So I pulled a ton of data for Buffalo and for Atlanta, put it up on the GitHub repo. I don't know if we fall under fintech. We're helping in the commercial real estate space, companies discover if there's past environmental contamination on the property before you would buy that property. So one of my favorite examples is the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. It was owned by the Astors before that. And on Astor Place, which no longer exists as a road, there was a tannery. Tannery chemicals are particularly nasty. There hasn't been a tannery at that location since the late 1800s. But it would be in these old city directories that says, hey, at this location. So can we track backward in time how these street segments are connected? And can we use the house number, the phone number, the occupant's name, the name of the street, and some other information that I've provided? So I'll be here this evening, probably early tomorrow morning if anybody has any questions, and I have a flyer.
Yeah, I think that in terms of like the track that it probably falls under, it's probably going to be like travel because it has to do with like streets.
Sure.
Yeah, and also just kind of as like just like a note, so you can compete in one track out of the 4, but something that we definitely recommend to hackers is being able to add on to these different sponsor challenges as well, so that you're trying to mix and match these ideas to try and kind of like add to your own idea ready for your track. So yeah, Lightbox has like a great challenge. And do you want to talk a little bit about the prize?
Yeah, we have some prizes, basically Amex gift cards, depending on the teams that I have a certain budget, but depending on the teams that go and how much interest there is and the size of the team, I have about $300 in gift cards to give away.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
All right, thanks so much, Richard.
All right, and then for the sponsor events, we have a couple. So EarthHacks, you already talked about the EarthHacks like ethical hacking workshop. And then the Y Combinator founder panel. We highly encourage you guys to attend this. And then also we have, we have a ton of social events going on over the course of the weekend. It's on the calendar. If you don't already have the calendar, it's been sent out in the email. So all you have to do is click the button and then you get added to your calendar. So you don't always have to keep checking, always asking people. But yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be our first in-person hackathon since 2019. Just because of COVID and everything, it's been very hectic, but we're really happy that we managed to have this event. So enjoy YHack 2022. There's going to be a lot of food, a lot of snacks, a lot of hacking. In-person participants, head over to SciCity to get a table and find a team if you have to. There's going to be the team formation event happening over there. Virtual participants, make sure to head to the hashtag team formation channels to find team members. And if you have questions at any point, make sure to come up to the organizers, also go up to the sponsors to ask them about their challenge, to see if you have any questions, because there are probably going to be a lot of specific questions that are catered for your project. So just make sure to go there and make a lot of friends, and yeah, enjoy YHack 2022. Thanks, everyone. Okay. And I'll try and give you access to the dev post. Yeah. Yeah.